Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Horse Center, Swiss Army Shawn, myself, and of course, tonight's guest is trainer George Bryant. George, how are you tonight?
I'm surprised you didn't use the air quotes when you said trainer.
No, should we use air quotes? I mean, I see we're so
Not
far
till I get my
23,
first,
23 races, no wins. I guess we could go with the air quotes.
Yeah, not till I get my first win.
All right. So you're not a trainer that. So what do you? Are you a self-assistant trainer now? Then
Right now, I'm just set like a horse vet. That's pretty much all I do is just doctor on horses all day.
All right. So you do come from a horse racing family. So why don't you give us a little bit of your background, and then we can get into what you're doing now.
My background's pretty interesting. My dad was a jockey.
Was that in quotes too, or no?
No. My background's interesting. Like my dad was a jockey. He was a quarter horse jockey. Rode an All-American. He was pretty damn good when it comes to quarter horse jockeys. And back in the 70s, he ran a lot of bush tracks around Texas, New Mexico, California. And he was a hot shot. He's making a lot of money riding a bunch of horses. And my mom's stepdad, who was a big-time bookie, big-time gangster, went in and out of prison. He was a legit gangster. Anyways, he charged up my dad one day, said, "Hey, you're going to give me information or I'm going to whoop you. You know, it's pretty much, you're a little bitty guy. I'm going to whoop you." And my dad's like, "No, I'm not going to do that." So then he pimped my mom to my dad. And then 9 months later, you get me slinging tip sheets out and trying to train racehorses. So I have a pretty strange background. Like, all it is horse racing. My whole background's horse racing. That's all it is.
And gangsters, apparently.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's an interesting background.
What
do you think, Shawn? I have a feeling he made that up. What do you think, Shawn?
Definitely didn't make it up.
No, that sounded straight from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Straight to the point.
Yeah.
All right, for sure. So now you're into training, but before that, you had a horse racing podcast, and you were doing very well with that. But then you had run into a life issue. So share a little bit about your story that got you to where you are today.
I did. So last year, for about a year, it's been 2 years now. So 2 years ago to 1 year ago, so a whole year, I had this sore on my tongue, and it wouldn't go away. And I thought it was because I drink like Dr. Peppers, and which I probably shouldn't, but I do, and like Red Bulls in the mornings. I'm not a coffee guy. I was like, all right, it's just like the acidity of the drinks, and okay, my tongue can't take it. I stopped drinking them for like a month, and they didn't go away. I'm like, damn, man. And I was out at dinner one night, and this girl's like, "Man, you should come see my boss. He's a doctor. That's what he does. You just check it out." I said, okay. And I went and checked it out. He's like, "It doesn't look like cancer or anything, but we need to do a biopsy just in case, see exactly what it is." Cut a little piece of my tongue off, send it off, and 2 days later he called me and said, "Hey, you probably need to go to the hospital. It's cancerous." I'm like, damn. So I got cancer on my tongue. So I went to the hospital, and they did a CAT scan and all that, and it had spread all into my neck. I don't know if you can kind of see it right there. It looks like the cartel slit my throat. Because it was all in my lymph nodes. So they cut me from ear to ear, opened me up, and took out all my lymph nodes. And then they cut out half my tongue.
Looks good.
Yep. And then they, how do I get right there? They took this piece of my arm and put it into my tongue. So now I have half arm, half tongue.
Can you taste on the half arm part or no?
Nope. No. Can't feel anything. I don't know if I'm chewing on bubble gum or my tongue. It has like nothing there.
So do you have to chew on one side of your mouth all the time? I know weird questions, but
no, I can chew on both sides, but if I chew on the side with the arm, can't taste anything. It's like cardboard. But if I chew over here, I can get a little bit of taste. Because after the surgery, I went through radiation, and the radiation killed what was left of my taste buds, and they're just now kind of starting to come back.
So like a really horrible case of that taste of no COVID then, right? So
yeah,
I guess if you have something like that happens to positive, you can go to eating like vegetables and all that stuff, and they don't taste bad anymore.
They don't. I can't taste any of it. But it's hard for me to, like, I can't eat a whole lot of meat right now. I can only eat like fish. Like I'm pretty much just like a pescatarian now. I just eat fish and potato, stuff that's real soft, and anything that's too hard, like steak, I don't have any saliva in my mouth very much, and it just kind of like balls up, and it doesn't, like, it's not like normal. I just can't eat it. It hasn't been very fun. Hey, but at least I can eat. So
Yeah,
I'm good.
for sure. And you're still here. That's a big positive because
Yeah.
unfortunately, a lot of folks, and recently happened in my family, a family member a year ago, healthy and diagnosed, and then 6 months later, not here anymore. So it's crazy how that goes. So you must feel blessed that you made it through, and that's the worst that happened to you, right?
Yeah. And like when it first got diagnosed, when I went to the hospital and they gave me my CAT scan, they said, hey, we'll give you about 2 years if you don't get this taken care of because it's so aggressive. I was like, damn, it's that serious. So yeah, I got it all. I went through hell, but man, I'm glad I did. I lost, I'm 6 foot and I was 230, 235. I was a thick guy. And now I'm $150 maybe. So I've lost like 85 pounds. I'm super skinny now.
No, maybe you get some of that saliva back, go back to eating and kind of go up a little bit. So
yeah, that's the plan.
In terms of, just say like life outlook, pre-cancer, George, post-cancer, George.
Oh.
How is your outlook on, say, just getting stuff done or maybe prioritizing? How has that all changed as a result?
But like I have red hair and I've always had a temper. I come from that lineage of people that have tempers. But ever since you can't make me mad now. I don't get mad. I've been through too much shit. I mean, I've been through way too much stuff, and you can't bother me. Can't bother me at all. So
does it help you kind of like prioritize stuff too, or
I think so, because as I was sitting and healing the whole time, all I could think of was horses, and during that time, everything just became laser focused for me. So I don't know if it was what I went through and all the hardships that I went through, but I feel as if I'm much more focused, and now I know exactly what I need to do and all that stuff all the time. So I think it has. I really think it has.
So one of the things you said in the I forget his name, the first name, last name Beam interview, is that you went from sleeping 16 hours a day to working 16 hours a day. So tell us about that transition. That had to be difficult. It can be.
So that was hard, and as I was healing and when I was going through the radiation, was when it was the worst. That almost killed me. That I couldn't swallow it. It felt like I couldn't breathe because everything was closing up. They had to put a stomach tube in me. That's how I was eating. And so I could only take in, I don't know, maybe 1,600 calories. So I didn't have a lot. When Lone Star opened in April, I got sent a couple horses, a couple babies, and then I was taking care of a couple horses for other people. So, and I was just I had it by myself. I didn't have a crew. It was all by myself. And I literally went to waking up at 4:30 in the morning. I'd be at the barn for 6 hours in the morning, come home, take a little nap, go back. And for probably 2 months, it took me about 2 months to condition myself. And I had one spell in there where I got too hot, because it's hot. It's like 105 every day at Lone Star. And I got too hot, dehydrated, and I caught an infection in my neck. The doctor said I'm going to be pretty susceptible to those. And I spent about 3 or 4 days getting fluids pumped in me and a bunch of antibiotics for my neck. And that was about 3 days in the hospital. And when I got out, ever since then, now my diet's on point. I have more energy, and my body's already conditioned to where I can work all day and not get tired anymore. So that definitely was the hardest step, from sitting on the couch all day to working all day.
So what color are the quarter poles?
Couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. I have no clue. That was definitely one of the questions I missed on my trainer's test.
That's a question I would miss too, Shawn. What color are the quarter poles?
The red. There's three colors. There's red, there's green, and there's black. I don't know which one's which. I probably watched. I bet I watched on a slow day 20 races, and on the weekend probably 40 races, just here and there. Saratoga, Del Mar. Saratoga's over now. I watched Colonial, Louisiana Downs, Del Mar. I watched all these tracks, every race live, and I couldn't tell you. I still can't. I see it every day, so I don't even think about it.
I wonder how many people actually pay attention to stuff like that.
Put that out tomorrow on.
Well, they'll Google it there,
Yeah. I'll do that. That's a good one because I would say what color is the quarter pole and put red, black, or green and see how many. Yeah, that's people are gonna screw that up.
I won't get it right. Okay, I know from listening that
I'll do it right now.
the half mile I think is black, so I'm going to eliminate one for people right here on the spot. But the other two I have no idea because, like you, all I do is look at the corner of the screen. I want to see what fractions they're running to know if my horses are done or they have a chance.
So I'm really good at math. My brain's always been a number. Like that's how I remember a lot of things.
Pythagorean theorem.
Yeah, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But isn't that right? Right?
I think that's right. Yeah, if I pronounced it correctly, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you did. But so when it comes time to a race, if it's 6 furlongs, they just went to the half mile pole. I know I got 2 furlongs left. They got a quarter mile left. You know, so I don't ever look at the poles.
Yeah, me either. I just look at the fractions to see if my horses have a chance or not. And that's, as Shawn knows, one of my pet peeves. A mile and 70 yards at Parks, going out in the opening quarter and claiming 5 and 20 and change. And you're like, yeah, why is my horse on the lead at 20 and change, claiming 5 at Parks? Drives me bananas. But anyway, what's happening, Shawn?
So it says the quarter pole is red.
And then I think the half mile is black, and the other one is green? The 6 furlongs? I don't know.
I guess I'm failing that test too. I have no idea. George, speaking of life events, congrats on you got a little baby boy as well.
Talk about that. I did, and the timing with that was, we had just found out we were pregnant, and a month later is when I found out I had cancer. So that was rough. And the whole time she was pregnant, I couldn't be there for her because I could barely be there for myself. You know, it was rough. She went through a lot. I went through a lot. Then as soon as my training career started going, he was born April 27th. So like right when Lone Star started. I mean, they started like the 29th, I think, or the 28th of April. So as soon as I started, he was born. Not only was I working a lot, I was coming home and having help take care of the kid too. But it was so hard. But it's awesome. I named him River Derby. She's Hispanic, and all of her family, all their kids have something to do with water. Like they have a son named Mako, which is like a mako shark, Mar, which means ocean in Spanish. And then, so we had to do something with water. I was like, man, we got to have something with horses. Like I have a daughter, a 13-year-old daughter. Her name's Lexington, after Lexington, Kentucky. And I tried to get Keeneland. That got ixnayed by her. I tried to name him Arrowgate. I almost got that one through. I almost got Arrowgate. But she's like, no, we're not going to do a middle name. We're not going to do a middle name. She messed up. She let me do the birth certificate. River Derby Bryant. Got her. How
did that conversation go once you found that out?
Did you really? A bunch of did you really? And I was like, yeah, I did. I really did. It's in pen too. We can't erase it.
Permanent marker.
Yeah.
You joked around about that you have no wins, but you do have a second place finish in a stakes race.
I am stakes placed. That's true. First off the claim, stakes placed. That's true.
Talk about that.
So they have the small track in Texas. It's a fair track. They run 8 days a year, 4 weekends. It's called Gillespie County Fairgrounds. And it's probably my favorite place. It's literally where the dust meets the rust out in the hill country of Texas. And I try to go every year. I go down every year because there's only one bet in horse racing I've never hit, and that's the twin trifecta. I've never hit a twin trifecta. Not many racetracks do it anymore, more of like a dog track now. And that's one of the few tracks that still offers it. So every year I go down there and I take a whack at it and I always miss. But this year, and I've won the stakes race down there a couple times as an owner. And I said, man, I just claimed this horse for $7,500 non-2 Texas bred. And I like him. He's by midshipman. I said, man, he's been doing so good. Like, man, it's free to nominate. I'll nominate and look at the PPs and nominations. And I nominated, there's a couple toughies. Like the horse that won it is a horse named Quarterback Dak, who's made a lot of money. And there's a couple of decent horses in there. I said, screw it. I'm just going to go. And from Shreveport, where I'm stationed now, I have my horses in Shreveport. it's 7-hour drive. So I drove 7 hours down to Fredericksburg, Texas, and took a shot. We ran second. We were in really good second. He's like 16-1 or something.
Out of all the people you've been around at the track, have you ever been in awe of anybody that you've gotten to meet that you've watched a long time when you were a kid?
Yeah. I almost got into a head-on collision with Bob Baffert. That was kind of cool. And because when you're going in Lone Star Park, you got to swing. You got to make a wide left turn to go to the backside. And if you turn too quick, you're coming to head-on traffic, which I was coming that way. And Baffert took the early entrance, and we're like looking at each other, like, "Oh shit, this is Bob Baffert right there." And I don't know, I was probably 21, maybe. I think he had brought Real Quiet down there. I might have been 20, probably around 2000. I think he had Real Quiet there that year. And I saw him later on that night upstairs in the fourth floor in Silks, and I was like, hey, Mr. Baffert, how are you? I don't give a shit. I'll walk up to anybody. He's like, oh, hey, you're the guy almost hitting a car, so he remembered me. I thought that was pretty cool.
So who was in the wrong? If you actually had who would have got the ticket?
Him. He would have. Yeah, he was going the wrong way down the one way. It's my town. I know the streets pretty well. I wasn't going to let it happen. I had a truck. I would have went off road.
So maybe they should suspend his driver's license too.
Maybe. In New York, they would. In New York, they definitely would.
Yes, indeed. In New York, they would have done it a while ago. They probably suspended his driver's license there already anyway. Just kidding, Bob, if you're watching.
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt you, Shawn.
And
it's okay.
This was pretty cool, too. Through a friend, I got his phone number. Like, I have his phone number. And this was probably a year ago. I was filming it for my podcast. And a buddy started filming me, and I called him. I prank called him. I was like, hey, is this the greatest trainer in the world? And he kind of laughed. I was like, nice to meet you, Brad Cox. And he laughed and hung up. And I was like, oh, my God, that was so funny. And do
you want to do it right now again?
I probably it might not be the same number. I don't know. But
I'm sure not.
Funny. And he just took a picture and he didn't record me. I was like, oh my God, that would have been the funniest video ever. Cause I'm sure he wasn't mad. He just thought it was, we
could try it if he didn't change his number. If you're up for it, that would be some funny stuff.
That would be so funny. I have Brad Cox's number too. Maybe I should call Brad Cox and say, hey, is this the greatest trainer in the world? And if he laughs or whatever, and be like, oh, what's up, Bob Baffert?
Well, ask him when he'll think he'll get back to racing in New York.
Dude, I mean, probably it should be pretty quick. I don't know. I think they kind of jumped the gun a little bit on it. Like, I know Bob Baffert, he probably pushed. He doesn't need to cheat. He's got the best horses in the world. Every time you see him in a race, he's got a horse that's at least 400,000. I just think he kind of gets a little bit sloppy with his overages, and he's kind of pushing the limits a little bit. They all kind of do a little bit. Like, I'm trying to learn the game. I'm not a chemist. I don't know anything about this stuff. That's probably the hardest part, is trying to keep up with that stuff. But he'll probably come back pretty quick.
What's your thoughts on all that with the hissing and stuff?
It doesn't bother me, man. I went to a horseman's meeting at Lone Star Park, and the lady, Lisa Lazarus, I think's her name. I can't remember her name. She was there, and she was talking to everybody. Man, these people were so mad at her, like it was her fault, like she did it. They were like yelling and acting a fool. I was embarrassed. I was like, dude, just go to the computer, sign up. It'll take you 5 minutes. If you can't do it, I'll do it for you. It's not a big deal. They're not going to come to your house. That's what everybody's mad at. I'm not going to let them come to my house. I mean, bro, they're really going to come to your house? I mean, you're not winning at 47% clip. You're like a 12% career trainer. They don't give a damn about you. Just sign up. You know what I'm saying? Just sign up. I want uniform medication rules, because in Texas, I can give Butte, it's 2 days out. I know I'm going to get this wrong. I always have to check my phone. My phone's right there, my notes. Butte's 2 days out, and in Louisiana, it's 1 day out. And they're all different. And I run horses in both states, like simultaneously. Like, I hauled over to Fredericksburg, but I came from Louisiana. I could have easily messed that up. You know what I'm saying? So the uniform medication rules that his is trying to implement would be fantastic. But other than that, I don't care.
That doesn't seem to be the problem, though, that the Texas Racing Board has with them.
Dude.
It seems like there's really more about who's actually in charge. Is the Texas Racing Board going to be basically eliminated? Right? There's no need for them anymore because it'll be run by HISA. Do they have any say or not? So if I'm reading it, it sounds like that might be the argument the two are having, and maybe individual trainers are a little bit, salty about some of the ambiguity into like how deep into your personal stuff they can get.
Yeah, that's probably definitely, but it just doesn't bother. Like, I've been through so much. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. I'll do it. You want me to sign up? Okay, I'll sign up. Do you really want to come to my house? And I mean, okay, whatever. It's not like I'm keeping Bob Baffert juice in here.
I saw you put some of that online. Did you try any for yourself to see if maybe you run faster?
No, that was wild, man. Somebody actually made that wine. I was like, man, you guys are wild.
They're going to wait until you get that first win, and then they're going to tear you down.
Exactly. Then they're going to think I'm a cheater. I can't wait till that, because it's only a matter of time till I figure this out and I get good. I'm a good handicapper. I've always been a solid handicapper. I know the game really well. It's only a matter of time until I'm winning 15, 20%. And I know it sounds cocky, but I'm going to be 20% one day. It's just a matter of time until I get the horses. Get the horses, start entering them correctly, and I'll be 20%. I can't wait till they call me a cheater. It's going to be so awesome. It's way better than a trainer, you know what I'm saying?
Well, you could take them out and they could try your hay and just see if they have any enhancement afterwards. Or you can go maybe pee on their hay, because that's one of the dogs ate my homework excuses we see over and over and over again.
Yeah, it happens all the time. But I can see where, there's two different types. There's the overages, and then there's the cheating. You know what I'm saying? If you're cheating, it wasn't an accident. It wasn't an accident. If it's an overage, I can see it being for a therapeutic medication. I can see it being an accident, especially if you're running between different states like Texas and Louisiana. And I don't even know what it is in Oklahoma. I'd have to ask somebody. I haven't been up there.
And you mentioned too, you're not a chemist. One thing we know is everybody's body processes things differently. So
that's true.
One horse might flush something out in a day, and another horse might take 3 days to flush it out, just because of the way the chemistry works differently in each one of us living, breathing beings.
Yeah.
Right, Shawn?
Right. How many horses do you have right now, and how many horses are you planning on? Like, if you had it your way, how many horses would you own?
I have 8 right now, and if it was up to me, I would have, I want to say 400. 400 is a good number.
Seems like a nice round number.
More the better, yeah. I have a good crew now. I got the good groom, a couple good gal boys, and we have it down. My horses look fantastic always. They just they're not running yet. They're not running well yet. Just give me some time. But yeah, my horses always look fantastic. All right, so far, I've gotten 29 votes on that, and 55% of them are correct. So 45% of these people have gotten it wrong.
And that's even with people
I would be in the 45% arena for sure.
That's even with people who had Google available to them to find out the answer.
Yeah, and some of these people might be. Is this live? It might be.
It is live. Yes, we don't edit anything because. Well, I don't know how. That's probably why.
Well, I'm going to expand on that. Robert Bryan just said how awesome you are. I've had a couple requests for you too. So how does that make you feel that people have actually requested for you to come on the show?
And they've requested me to be off the show. So.
It makes me feel really good, because if you've ever spent a day at the races with me, it's a good time. It's a freaking good time. I'm a big time. I support the sport a lot with my own money. I'll gamble. I don't care. I always have. I love it. And if you spend the day with me at the races and you're a horse racing guy, you're going to have a good time, And also, I don't shy away from anything. You ask me any question, I'm never the guy's like, oh, I plead the fifth, or I don't want to touch that. I'm not that guy. I want to tell you what I think. It might be a dumb take, but I'm going to tell you what I think, And I have some wild stories about the racetrack too. So I've always
share one wild story. The wildest. If we're going to share a wild story, make it the wildest.
All right. So this is a story. This is a gambling story more than just a horse racing story. I've always looked for edge when gambling, just like any gambler does. And myself and another trainer, I won't say his name, but it rhymes with Barl Kroberg. If you know, I mean, I'm sure everybody in South.
I think we had him on the show.
Oh, did you?
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, I know he didn't tell the story. He's going to kill me. But we were looking for edges to make money. And it's probably 10 years ago. Yeah, about 10 years ago. And we figured out that at this time, which this was so dumb to me, the Daily Racing Form was advertising Bovada. Do you remember Bovada? They were advertising Bovada, which to me was stupid because I know the money doesn't go into the pools.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all about horse racing is that's how it grows. You create churn, you create handle, and that's what pushes out to the purses and the racetracks. So it always pissed me off. Like I would even tweet about like this is the dumbest thing ever. Daily Racing Form is pimping Bovada just for I don't know what they made, probably 50,000, whatever the deal was, whatever the deal was. It's like, you know what, man, screw Bovada. We got something for him. Me and Carl figured out or me and Barl Kroberg. I just said his name. Anyways, we figured out that Louisiana Downs, Fairgrounds, and
somebody got mad.
I'm back.
Shut him off.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And we figured out that they had small pools in quarter.
Something going on, Shawn. The NSA is listening in.
Yeah, we've never had anybody cut off before.
Sorry.
Not in the middle of the story they're not supposed to be telling, too.
Yeah.
It adds to the intrigue.
I was getting a call.
Oh,
Please don't tell the story, but it's amazing. It's the greatest story ever. And I could probably get away with it again if I had the right people. But so what we would do is they had really small pools and quarter horses, but they were still listed as grade 1 tracks on Bovada, which means you could churn more money into it. Like they're not going to let you bet a lot of money into Rotama Park because they don't get handled, but they're going to let you bet a lot of money into Fairgrounds because it's a grade 1 track, even when they're running quarter horses. So the quarter horse pools, the daily doubles would have like $200 in it. So what we would do, my account, this person's account, this is person's account, I would say, hey, everyone bet, here's the daily double. It's 2-3 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And into the pools, I would bet $500 of just throwaway money on the wrong horses. And racing's pari-mutuel. I would do that at the racetrack. I would lose $500 purposefully on the long shots. So the favorites odds would go up, the payouts. And then through Bovada, who books it, I would bet the horses that are going to win that should be favorites, but I've made them longer shots in the pools by manipulating the pools, right? So you could get a 3-2 over a even money horse in a daily double. What's that daily double usually pay? $9 for $1, $8 for $1. But with my $500 bad money into a $300 pool, now it's paying $65. And I got it 50 times on Bovada. My buddy's got it 50 times. He's got it 50 times. He's got it 50 times. We all just made $3K. You see what I'm saying? And out of that money that I just made them, they kicked me back a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And then I got to where I would just go buy an iPad, have a data plan, and I would just run it. There's one time where I'm sitting at the table and I got 8 iPads and I'm plugging in all these bets and I'm making $10,000 a day, easy $10,000 a day. Even when I have a bad day, I still make $2,000. And I ran my personal account up to like 550,000, 600,000, something silly in the course of like a month, mind you, the craziest month of all time. And then I had the other 7 accounts with their own iPads, all up to a couple 100,000. But then one day I went to log in and I couldn't log in, and they only allow you to get out 3,000 a week. So I was getting 3,000 out a week from all these accounts for like a month, maybe 6 weeks, I don't know. And they they cut off all the accounts. They call me and they talk to me like, we know what you're doing. We can't figure it out. We don't know how you're doing it, but this isn't. And I was still getting out 3,000. Shit, I gotta get this money out, and I had to make it look like I was a complete degenerate. So I'd go into poker. I played 50, 100, no limit hold'em, and just try to donk off like 50,000. And I remember one night, I think I made like 200,000 playing poker, trying to give money away to other people. It was the craziest thing. Just because when you don't care about it, sometimes you're gonna get lucky and suck out on somebody. But finally, they ended up confiscating all the money, and they ended up taking all the money. They probably beat us out of like $1 million, but we got a good chunk out of it for a while.
Sounds interesting. You might have your great uncle show up at your door one day.
Dude. Hey, when I had all those, this is another wild. When I had all those iPads on the table, I had these two dudes because Bovada, I think it was Bodog back then. No, it was Bovada. Is like based in the Philippines or somewhere overseas. But I had these two dudes that looked really Russian and really mafia-esque or whatever sit down right next to me. That's the most scared I've ever been in my whole life. Like, I'm not a fighter. I could outrun them, but I'm not going to fight these guys. I think, man, these guys are fucked. So I kind of slowly packed up and left. I don't know if they were there for me, but they damn sure didn't have a racing form in front of them. It was weird. I thought I was going to get off. And at the same time, remember that movie Runner? Did you ever see that with Justin Timberlake? Where he was working. Ben Affleck was kind of like he ran a offshore betting account, and Justin Timberlake screwed him, and Ben Affleck was going after him. So I was like, man, I'm going to get off any day now. But I didn't.
No, well, I won't go there because I don't want to speak in the universe. It'll never happen. We'll put that out into the universe instead, for sure. So I did have another question in there. Oh, I had a commentary. One of the things Shawn and I can understand, because we're building a horse racing outlet that's pro horse racing, talking to the personalities, and we reach out to the likes of Twin Spires, Naira, and all of the ones that do contribute to the pools here. But when you try to get them to sponsor you because they're so big, we're so small, even though we create fantastic content, in my opinion, but my opinion is never wrong. These folks won't advertise with you. Everything is CPA. You do all the heavy lifting, and the occasion when an account is open, then we'll give you a little tiny piece of it. So, man, from that perspective, I can understand why people go to a Bet Us, or they go to what's that one down there in the .ag that may not contribute to the pool, but those folks are willing to support you and help you grow financially. So you're kind of stuck. I mean, for DRF, it's not an issue. Obviously, they have enough money anyway. But for folks like us, it is an issue. And unfortunately, some of the bigger players in this business aren't willing to help some of the budding, smalling players that are trying to grow the audience.
Oh, you'll get no help. Like, nobody helps. Nobody cares. My podcast, I'll still record one every now and again when I'm not super busy. But I was doing it every week, and I was kind of into it. And just like you, I reached out to all these people, and I was getting on an average week, like 1,000 to 1,500 listens a week. I mean, that's not a small amount in such a niche little sport, right? And I was like, very first people I reached out to was like horse tourneys, the website, you try to qualify with NHC, because I liked their product and everything.
They were a little rude to you too?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. They said that they didn't give a shit, pretty much. But I was like, man, we talk about y'all every week. And I know I've personally gotten at least 25, 30 people signed up for horse tourneys. Just whatever you want. I don't care. Just sponsor us any way you can. Any way you can. Sorry, can't do anything for you. We don't do that. Oh, okay. So I never talked about horse tourneys again on my podcast. I got sponsored there for a little bit. Oh, the 8 iPads, Ross Blacker, I gave a bunch of them away. I still got 3 of them, though. Still got 3 of them. I don't even know if they work anymore. A couple of them were those Galaxy notebooks.
Should we have a raffle and give one away?
That would be cool.
Shawn, come up with a contest. We're going to give away a George Bryant laptop or a computer,
right.
iPad, whatever. Anyway, so you were saying about trying to get the horse tourneys people. We've gone down that same path, and we've gotten rude answer. There is a provider out there who does they provide. You can't bet, I don't think, but you can watch horse racing, and we get an international audience. And sometimes I won't say that, but it rhymes with TRN. But but we reached out to them and I said, look, man, we don't want to show live. What we'd like is your permission. Like when we're talking about a race that has happened, to use a replay. And in return, what we'll do is we'll promote you.
Yeah, it makes sense.
We get so many questions from foreign countries. Where can I watch the races? Where can I watch the races? Where can I watch the races? I mean, so these are people who are asking us, and if they see us as a source of an authority, right? And if we tell them, hey, go to TRN, sign up, here's a code so they know you came from us, they would probably get tons of business from places like Turkey, which we get crazy numbers when we do Delaware Park on Wednesdays because their government only lets you look at so many tracks outside of Turkey per day. And we were doing like the show for our picks on Delaware Park. We're doing Saratoga. We're doing like all the big tracks. And, we're getting 200 people in the course of one show. And, evergreen, it grows a little bit as time goes by. And then we would do Delaware and it's like, bang, 500. And we're like, why is everybody so interested in Delaware? And we find out we have all these people from Turkey tuning in. But anyway, so I understand where you're coming from. We're walking down that same path. And that's why when you brought up that story about Bovada, I can understand why some people take that path, because the bigger folks that can help you grow, for whatever reason, they're sort of, like you said, screw you, we're not interested.
Like, I don't know anything about Robert's stream. I guess they're the ones that do all of it, and they kind of, RTN has the rights to them or something. But Robert's, they're the worst. They're so bad. They don't, like you said, you do them you give us a replay, we're going to promote y'all. To me, that's perfect. Like, if I own that content, all right, I'm not just giving it to you. I'm getting a little bit stuff back. Instead, they just say no. It's always been so annoying. Roberts, they're always the ones that won't let you do it. I think it's Roberts or Robertson stream. I don't know what it is, but that little blue thing down at the bottom right-hand corner, yeah, they're the worst.
Yeah, for us, like we hit probably around 10, 45, another 6, 50, somewhere around 52,000 people a month in all of our different avenues. So it's not a small audience, right? No. You're talking about 500,000 people a year and growing.
Yeah.
So, and to reach out to folks and say, look, we're just looking for a little bit of help to pay some of these bills. And basically it's some kind of formal, I would say, like one of those things that everybody gets an auto reply with basically an FU at the end, but a kind of polite FU at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. It's per my last email, we don't do that, like they're trying to be nice, but it sounds rude.
The only people who were cool with us were Brisnet. I have to give them credit. They told us that we can go ahead and show because I wanted to get permission before we did it to put the PPs on the computer screen when we're doing the shows. And they said, absolutely no problem. Just let them know that they're Brisnet. You just can't show the whole card for the day. And that was their only rule. Yeah. So I want to say thank you for Brisnet for being cool to that regard, but we don't make any money off of them overall. So anyway, we talked about everything but training, I think, so far. So, we talked a little bit about your training. So tell us a little bit about some horses that you got coming up and any that we should be circling on our PPs to put some money on over at Bovada.
Probably, like, I have 8 and I have 6 ready to rock. Man, I have a little maiden who ran this. Everybody's going to laugh at me. The very first time I ran him, I ran last. He drew the 1 hole. That happens, Second time I ran him, ran 4th and got beat like 2 and ran a pretty good race. And he was the other one that I shipped down to Fredericksburg, to Gillespie. Took 7-hour drive down. He was in a little cheap maiden race. He's only going half mile, and he needs way more than half mile, but that's all there was. Screw it. And it doesn't say anything about this in their PPs. Like, you can't even watch replays there. Like, they don't even you can't do nothing. And for he ran a half mile, and I want to say for half of the half mile, which is a quarter mile, he's in last, but this boy's having to ski. I mean, just do everything in his power, his head's up, just throwing it because he can't get through. He broke bad and rushed up on their hills. And for 200 and 400 yards, pretty much, he's just skiing on them. And as soon as a little gap opens, he shoots through and he's 6 in front on the gallop out. I was like, God, it was the worst trip ever. And when he comes back, I'm going to run him at LAD, I'm sure, here pretty quick. Named Double Trap. He's going to be billion to 1, and if I can get him going 5.5 or 6 for cheap, maiden 5,000 or something, they will not beat him. He's going to be 1,000,000 to 1 too, just because that he ran last at Fredericksburg, and it doesn't say he was stymied the whole stretch. It just says got beat or whatever the stupid comment is by somebody who doesn't even know horse racing.
And then the other horse that you ran that there was Popeye's Heart, the one who finished second in the. When are you going to put that one back on the track?
They had a race for him here over last weekend, but it was too quick back. It took a lot out of him, go 7, and he ran such a big race. I'm gonna look for a good little 15 non-2 or 10 non-2, but he's still a non-2, and I don't think they'll beat him. I don't think they'll beat him next time. I'd really love to wait to run him until next month in October when I get to Delta, because Fredericksburg was a bull ring, and so was Delta, and I think he really liked it, the bull ring, because he wasn't in there with some bums like Mr. Nightblinger. He had who he beat had win 2 out of 3 starts, and another horse named Sunday Bling of Danny Pishes had just won that race prior and got DQ'd, and then the horse that beat him, Quarterback Dak, had made like 150,000. I don't know how much he's made, but he's made a bunch. And I don't. If I get him for 10 or 15 non-2 at Delta, they won't beat him. He's doing good too.
So you said one of your goals was to get to a fairgrounds and to Oaklawn Park sooner than later. So do you think running in the Louisiana circuit now puts you one step closer to running at fairgrounds and then over to Hot Springs, Arkansas, where apparently they're going to give you a big bonus now if you stick around for the all the way through May? Yeah,
I saw that. That was kind of weird. I thought that was a weird, but I guess it's good. I don't know, like when that meet's over. It's over in May. Why would people be leaving early? I guess maybe go to Churchill. I guess they leave early to go to Churchill because that starts up right there at the end of April.
Yeah, it starts up. I think. Does it start up the week? I think about a week before the Kentucky Derby, right?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah,
couple weeks.
Right on the doorstep of the Kentucky Derby, it opens back up again. Yeah.
So maybe that's what it is. So
your goal, you feel like you're closer to your goal of at least getting into the fairgrounds this year?
I'll definitely start 1 or 2 at the fairgrounds this year. I'll haul over from Delta. But when I say I want to go to, I can take something up to Oaklawn. I can take something to fairgrounds. And of course, that'll be like I'll hit my goal a little bit. Like it's like a step 1 of my goal. But my goal is really to be stable there. Like I didn't get stalls at Remington Park, and I'm still shady about that. Remington, that was some bullshit. They said, "Oh yeah, you're first on the list. We're gonna get you stalls." They never got me stalls. That's why I went to Louisiana Downs, because Remington gave me stalls. And then I was like, "Damn, what am I gonna do now?" Remington, I wasn't going to Remington. Can't do that. I probably could if I pushed the subject now, because I know a lot of people didn't go. They gave a bunch of stalls to Brad Cox. He didn't. He's not going there. Freaking idiots. But then I put in stalls for Delta. I was like, let's see what they say. They gave me all the stalls I wanted. They're like, we'd love to have you down here. You run a lot of them. I was like, perfect. So I'll run 1 or 2 probably down at fairgrounds, and then probably not next year, but probably in 2 years, I'm gonna be stable there. I'm gonna be stable at fairgrounds. I think I like fairgrounds a little bit more than Oaklawn. I think they run about the same time. I think I'd rather be at fairgrounds just because I love New Orleans.
So when you're stable there, you say everybody that hangs out with you has a good time. So we'll put on our to-do list, because I've never been to New Orleans. So when you're at fairgrounds, Shawn don't fly, so he's gonna have to leave like 3 weeks before we meet up. We'll all catch up. We're gonna have a great time. We're gonna figure out how, when we're in fairgrounds, we can get $1 million on our iPads before we leave.
Yes, dude, we could probably do that. We should have all your listeners get a Bovada account, and let's try it one more time. I bet we could do it.
Yeah, but we got to pull the money out before they close it and the Russians show up.
You don't want to get caught by the Russians.
No, absolutely not.
To answer your question, Rich lives in Chicago and I live in Pennsylvania. I live about an hour from Parks.
So where would that? So
an hour from Parks, hour from Penn National, hour from Delaware, Reading, PA. If you know where.
I went to Pennsylvania. It was a little bitty town. It's not Reading. It's right outside Pittsburgh. I can't remember.
Altoona?
Pittsburgh's like 6 hours away from me.
It's all the way on the other side of the state. I think it's like the third widest state in the country, Pennsylvania. It takes you forever to drive from east to west, but not very long from north to south. And Shawn lives about an hour from Parks and from Penn National. I live about 15 minutes from all the stuff you see on the news in Chicago. So,
oh yeah,
yes,
dude,
you need Kevlar and bulletproof windows. Not too far from where I live.
How sad are you about Arlington Park?
That's some horse BS too. Thinking that Arlington being shut down by the folks at Churchill Downs, and there was probably really not a whole lot of reason because there's a lot of land there that they couldn't have had a football stadium and a horse track simultaneously. And it's in a perfect location because the train literally stops right behind Arlington Park. So the only thing it leaves for us now is occasionally we get some horse racing down at Hawthorne, which is in Stickney, Illinois. And if you've ever been to Stickney, Illinois, it's all industrial and maybe a few kind of bars where people don't wear a whole lot of clothes. But outside of that, there's not a lot in Stickney, Illinois.
Did you mean a Broadway club?
Yes, that's where they sing and dance, my friend. Different kind of music.
I am a fan of the Broadway clubs.
When I was younger, I was a fan of the Broadway clubs, but it was a long, long time ago. Now, I'm at that age where if I see an Oreo, I want an Oreo. I don't want to just look at the Oreo. It's a whole different story.
That's true.
We're getting X-rated here, but I don't want to do that. In any case,
this is going to be our most watched show for all the stuff we said, for sure.
Look at Rich. I didn't think he was like that. Seemed like one of those people, like a Quaker or something out by Shawn. Anyway, any final thoughts? So you got me all flustered. You got me all flustered with the Broberg, with the Raro Broberg stuff. Any final thoughts, Shawn, before we let you
Well, the overall thought on this show, when it's the most watched show for the stuff we said, is everybody was right. George Bryant is such a good guy, and we'll be rooting for you as well. Glad you came on and we got to know you better, and then everything's worked out for you. Also, we're open for sponsors anytime as well. And then one last question. What do you have planned when you finally get that first win and you officially become a trainer?
I think I'm going to film like a WWE type speech. Like I'm a big fan of the UFC. Like I love the UFC. You know how after the fights, Joe Rogan goes in there and he interviews them. I want somebody to do that to me because I will drop fire. I think there needs to be more of it. Like Kendrick Carmouche will do that every once in a while. If they put a mic in his face, he'll go in there and drop some fire. But anybody else, you go in there and talk to Chad Brown after a big win, it's the most vanilla, boring, just terrible interview ever. Could there ever be a more vanilla
better than the
guy?
one he gave when he come out of the courthouse?
That's true. We know the man's wild. We know he's a wild man. Show us some damn personality, bro. Please. Anytime I talk to a big time trainer, like I talk to Steve over here, this is his home, and I'll ask him a question. Sometimes he'll tell me the truth, but all the other times he'll get we're just so blessed. I'm like, bro, come on, man. Give me something. Show me something. No personality on these guys.
We have found out that typically, not all the time, but typically the jockeys have a little bit more of a personality than the trainers.
That's true. I met some wild jockeys.
Well, when we talked to Jamie and Willie Martinez, they were talking about the jockey parties, and I said, you just made every little, every teenager out there that wasn't thinking about becoming a jockey want to become a jockey.
Dude, I wanted to be a jockey when I was little, but that dream ended quick. I was on. We lived in we had a little trailer, had the railing that goes up the stairs. I was down riding it. I was just riding, and I went to switch sticks. I fell off and broke my arm. I don't want to be no jockey no more. I couldn't ride just
falling off and then the horse not running over you afterwards too.
Oh, that'd be the worst. Did y'all see that one tweet that I put out about the guy who was up like 10 and he hit the horse one too many times right-handed and he ducked into the rail?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I can't be no jockey, man. I'm too big of a wuss. I'll keep my feet on the ground.
I agree with you. I had a stare incidents too. I think I told you this, Shawn, when I was a little kid. I thought, the parents with the story, you can do anything. So I thought, well, I can fly then. So I jumped off the top of the stairs to see if I could fly and found out I couldn't fly. But what made it even better is I was not so convinced after the first time that I couldn't fly. I thought I did something wrong. So I went back up and tried it a second time to do it the right way.
Nope.
But unfortunately, I found out there is no right way for humans to fly other than United or Continental or Southwest.
Give
And
it
Shawn,
a couple
you don't
more years.
fly?
No, I haven't ever flown. I know that's going to have to change here in a little bit, but yeah, I've never had to fly. And I am not a big roller. Like, I don't go on most rides. Like, I'm not a roller coaster guy. Like, all that stuff freaks me out. So, like, I'm not a guy, I've gone on boats, but not like actual boats where you get like the whole seasickness. So I'm not a motion guy with that kind of stuff or a Daredevil at all.
We're not talking about the rides at Disneyland.
Yeah,
that doesn't count as a boat, Shawn.
But and I'm afraid of heights. So it's one of those things. Once you're in the air, there's no going back, and it just freaks me out. But it's eventually gonna have to happen. I've had a couple close calls.
So that'll be when he starts drinking.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to take some kind of relaxing pills for that first flight.
I don't drink either, so we're good there.
That's 3 of us. I used to, but the proverbial one's not enough, 100's too many, or whatever they call it.
Yeah, I could only imagine the dumb stuff I would say if I was a drinker. Could you imagine? I'd say some dumb stuff.
I was gonna say, if people have a good time while they're at the track with you and alcohol is not involved, that means you are really an entertaining guy. Because most people, when they say that, that's all they do is they feed people alcohol.
Yeah, I know y'all had a couple of my guys on a couple weeks ago. Hugo Torres and Jordan Gatlin.
Yep.
Yeah, he won the race the other day. He's rode a couple for me. They're good guys.
Indeed, for sure. Yeah. But that was with Jamie and Shawn. Yeah.
Oh, wasn't?
Yeah, I was not here that day.
That was the first time that I'd heard. No, it's not the first time. Second time I'd watched y'all's podcast.
Well, you have to do that more often, so that when we come down there to the fairgrounds, you'll have a sense of just how boring we really are, and you can really light a fire for us.
Got to come down for the Mardi Gras. That would be fun.
I'll bring down a bag of beads.
But he doesn't just want to see the Oreos. That's the problem.
You got to eat the Oreos.
All right, before you guys get me in trouble. All right, George. We appreciate you coming tonight. Usually we do like 30 minutes. Now we're at 52 minutes and 21 seconds to count.
That was 50 minutes? That felt like 10.
Yeah, it went by fast.
There you go.
Sure. But we do appreciate you coming on. We're definitely going to catch up with you again. Okay. Maybe we could talk about, I have some ideas. You had a podcast. Now that you're in the horse racing business, maybe you and I can throw around some vlogging ideas together. We have, like I said, an audience between everything where we touch about 50,000 people a month. I think that would be fantastic to do some WWE-like horse racing videos, throw them up on YouTube and see what happens.
Yeah. I'm telling you, after my first win, I'll drop some fire. I'll get on the mic and just drop fire.
All right. Do something exclusive for us so that we can put it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, run it on our YouTube shows and let everybody see it. And we'd greatly appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thanks, George.
Bye-bye. Oh, and by the way, we want that Baffert and Cox number too, so we can get them on the show so they can be boring.
I'll DM it to you.
All right. Thanks. Bye. Yeah. All right, Shawn. That was a lot of fun, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. It was definitely one of the more lively, entertaining conversations we had, and that's how we like for them to be.
When I say most trainers are boring, George Bryant is not in that category.
Breaking that mold wholeheartedly. No question about it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it's just the way I like it that way, for people to be who they are, not who they think people want them to be. To me, they're two different folks sometimes, and just be authentic. If you're authentic, you're always going to come. I feel like if you're authentic, people are going to like you. And if you try to fake it, that's when you run into trouble.
Well, and I know you'll say different on why we're live, but this is the part of the live that I like, is we just have a show, we do what we do, and whatever happens, happens.
It's completely impromptu. There's no question about it. It's improv, nothing script about anything that we do, and it probably comes off that way too. But that's the fun part about it, because you just don't know where a conversation's going to go. And spontaneity, I think, is going to give you a better content anyway than scripted content.
Absolutely.
So ordinarily we cover some news. I think we covered enough today. I don't know that we need to cover any news today, Shawn. We'll save it for next week. We're going to talk about Aqueduct taking in all the Belmont races, but that's not all that important. What is important is tomorrow, Tom and I will be back at 12 o'clock noon, trying to do our best at Shawn's favorite track, that track being Kentucky Downs. Tomorrow night at 9:30. We're not quite sure if we'll have a guest again. Shawn's stepping up to the plate, doing a little bit of Dave Kingman, swinging and missing as of late, but then when he does connect, it usually is a home run. So we'll see if you have a guest tomorrow night. Tom and I will be back on Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern to do Foreign Fridays at Doncaster in England, I think, and the Curragh in Ireland. Saturday, I'm not quite sure what Eddie C and Chris P will do for spot plays, but I'm sure they'll figure that out. And then that'll wrap it up for the week. Sean, you got your tissues handy?
Yeah, and getting ready for next week. Monday we have Cheryl Schaefer. Tuesday, Susan Packard. She's getting ready for that Santa Anita.
That's going to be I think you guys are prepped for that. I think that'll be a phenomenal show too.
Yeah, and then Wednesday, jockey Ronnie Allen Jr. So
I can imagine Jamie's looking forward to that women in horse racing conversation next Tuesday, because I know she's a big advocate for ladies in the sport. So I think that show has an opportunity, and that's one you definitely are going to want to tune in and tell your friends about.
Yeah, and then one other thing, Irad won another 4 at Colonial Downs. So just these numbers, and I know everybody wants to say they were chalky, which they all weren't. A couple of them paid. He had 13 mounts at Colonial Downs the last 2 days, 9 winners, 2 seconds, 1 third, and just 1 out of the money amount. So just crazy.
Did he win the did he win the Colonial Downs title in the last 2 days?
He definitely. You leave him right there for a week, he would have won it.
He might never go. He might never go back to New York. They might have to pay him more. They have to increase the purse size just for him to go back.
Today was closing day, but yeah, actually, I want to look that up now to see where he finished in the jockey standings. Only riding a couple days.
I'm sure he did pretty, at least money wise, because they had all the stakes races over the last 2 days. He might be their leading money winner after these last 2 days.
And he did have a lot of favorites, but there was also one yesterday and one today that paid like $18, and then he also had one. He finished second. He was 15-1. Morning line was bet down all the way to 3-1. So
yeah, because he's been on fire. I mean, that's the way it's going to go. Money is going to follow you when you're winning, right? They say everybody loves a winner. Yeah, and you know one thing about Irad, if he has the lead in the lane, you're going to have to really work to pass him.
Yeah, absolutely.
You almost have to fake him out, like you're going to go one way and then go the other way.
I don't care what track you're at, what horses you're riding, who you are. Those numbers there are absolutely crazy.
They're off the charts, man. No question about it. Almost as good as today's show, Sean. All right, bud. That takes us wire to wire on this hump day. Any final thoughts from you? Any words of wisdom from Sean, Swiss Army Sean, before we go?
No, just I was glad that a couple people recommended George Bryant and we had him on the show. Absolutely a great show. And then we go on to tomorrow with Kentucky Downs, and then also our NFL season previews up as well, and that starts tomorrow night too. So
yes, so tune in tomorrow morning for Tom and I. We'll if Sean or Jared or myself, probably not, has a pick for the Bills-Rams game to kick off the NFL season, we'll let you know about it. Sean will tweet it out. He'll also put it on Instagram. He'll also put our picks on Facebook, and to make sure that you get them, you're going to have to subscribe, follow us, whatever it is, whatever the routine is at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Horse Race, the number 2 day. While you're here on YouTube, kindly hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, so when we go live, you're notified. Tell your friends about us, because we're just a few people short of 2,000, and we'd love to get there. That's the other thing. We keep this chart. On January 17th, we had 746 YouTube subscribers. 8 months later, we're less than 80 away from 2,000 subscribers. So thanks everybody for their support. And, you guys are part of it too. So feel pride in that too. And just keep telling your friends and keep getting those numbers to grow. It will help us and it will help you as well. It will just improve our product and get more guests for us. The bigger the numbers, the more people want to come on. So maybe the more numbers we have, the less rude some potential sponsors will be. That would be nice too. All right, Sean, that wraps it up for today. And we hope no matter what you're doing tonight, tomorrow, before we get back together again, we hope that no matter what it is, Sean, it ends up in our good friend. And where have you been lately? Jay Marco's Winner Circle. Were you stunned there? All right. Have a great day. I didn't know how you were going. Have a wonderful night. We'll see everybody tomorrow for what Sean calls casino racing, Kentucky Downs.